You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Braxton Family Values After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Braxton Family Values After Show.
Bing is for doing. We're here with Papa Knows Best with Braxton Family Values, Season 3, Episode 4. Ashley, I'm your host, Larice Shamar.
And I am your host, Ashley Gray. I am so happy to be here today. Jason is not here, but we send him mad love wherever you are in the universe, baby. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Larice Shamar, and I'm here filling in as the #1 host of tonight with my co-host, Ashley. We're actually going to jump into this real quick, man. Papa Knows Best. What do you think?
Well, it was a very interesting episode. I'm so happy that we had a little bit of resolve, effective communication.
Okay.
But we see Tamar's dad. We see the interaction between them. We see the interaction between the dad and Traci. We have, everyone comes together to talk out their issues. But Traci wasn't there. But it was really great to see the girls actually want to resolve these issues without the unnecessary, cattiness. Even though, it's always going to be something in there.
It's
but
always. First off, let's talk about Toni and Dr. Sherry. Dr. Sherry's on the show
back.
once again. She's there.
Dr. Sherry is back, but she actually did a great job this time, I think. And I think that it's great when you have someone, when there's a problem and you're talking to someone one-on-one.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was really effective last week when there was all of the sisters there together. So seeing the interaction between Dr. Sherry and Toni, I really liked it. So big ups to Dr. Sherry. My bad, girl. I kind of pinned you as like, come on, man. I'm not trying to hear no more Dr. Sherry. But
oh, you're a believer now.
I'm a believer.
You're a believer now. I mean, the great thing about it, I've never been to counseling, but it seemed like she has such a great relationship with the Braxton's family because she's kind of helped them through a lot of different problems throughout their lives. But this time, it's like Toni is really kind of like, she's feeling hurt, and she's kind of tired of the argument. She's tired of the inconsistency between the family and everything. And now she's more concerned about her own personal health.
Exactly.
And what's going on with her, which I think everybody should be concerned about their personal health. But Toni's really kind of at that point where she's very emotional. It's like every episode we got Toni crying.
Well, she's like the fixer. She's like Olivia Pope in Scandal. She is the fixer for this family.
Yeah.
And she is tired of fixing everyone's problem, and it's affecting her health. So she went to Dr. Sherry and she's discussing this with her, and she's saying, I have to take a step back because I can't handle it anymore. Everyone has their own problems, and you know what? They're grown. They need to hash these out themselves. So I definitely big ups to Toni. Don't nobody want to see her cry. It wasn't
such a little beautiful. But I understand where Toni coming from because I have 3 other siblings. Even though I'm the youngest boy out of 3 siblings, but I feel like I'm Toni in the aspect because they're much older. They have a lot of problem within themselves, and everybody kind of resort to me like, oh, let me talk to you. This is what your brother did. This is what your sister did. And sometimes you have to kind of step back and allow them time to like really hash them problems out within themselves.
Yes, you need to remain neutral. It's not because I feel like if she gets involved, like what she did with this whole situation with the Tamarvention, now it's like she has chosen a side.
Yeah.
So if she would have just remained neutral like Mama E did, then I think that the problems would have wouldn't have escalated to this point. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, now she's like, Tamar is feeling some kind of way, and now she's like right in the mix. So I mean, I do agree with Toni. She does need to step back, remain neutral, and things will work out. it will work out. And speaking of things working out, there was a conversation between Mama E and Trina in which she did apologize.
Yeah.
Girl, you better have apologized.
She was real big for that. I was like, she don't say I'm sorry. She might slap somebody.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Mama E was like, you know what? My arms is too tired to slap the piss out of anybody.
I know,
so
right?
she tired. She ain't trying to. She ain't
she
trying
tired
to
of seeing that drama.
Yes, but you know, Mama E, she said this too shall pass. Every family has problems, and the Braxtons are no different. Just because, you know, we have this, you know, we're a celebrity, it doesn't mean that we don't have problems, and this too shall pass. So I really do, I love that we are getting some conflict management, and things are really starting to, you know, level out.
But, you know, at the same time, I look at it as being that when everybody have that one-on-one conversation, whether it's with Mama E or Dr. Sherry, it seemed like you get to hear more about the problem and the issue that's among the Braxton family.
Exactly.
Because when they're together, it's just like, yeah.
Well, let's admit, there are so many personalities in the Braxton family. I mean, first of all, you have all these women who are very emotional. We're emotional, beautiful creatures.
Okay.
I'm just saying, what you trying to say?
I'm listening.
So, of course, like, there's going to be a lot of different emotions present within a conversation. So I think that, you know, when they do have on those one-on-ones, it's better. But sometimes you do need to have a facilitator or a mediator that's kind of keeping the conversation at bay, because as we're going to talk about Traci and Tamar, that conversation just kept getting heated. So,
but at the same time, as you say, a facilitator, someone to kind of be there in the medium of each and every single conversation that they may have. Dr. Sherry kind of did a bad job on it, not to put anything against her, but as Papa Knows Best comes into the picture when he first come in to see Tamar at her house and really want to kind of understand what the issue is, Tamar tries to play it off like, Dad, like, what are you talking about? It's no issue.
Well, that just comes back down to I really think that the relationship, and this goes into Daddy to the rescue, when he does come in and he says, I'm coming here for my girls, and he goes and you see the relationship between Tamar and her father, and it's so beautiful. You can tell that she's Daddy's little girl. She's always been Daddy's little girl, and it's just so cute. When he first came in the door, they started doing a little dance. He did a little stanky leg. I was like, get it, Dad.
Like, challenge.
Get it. So, I mean, not to say that Tamar is appropriate in her actions and the way that she reacts to certain situations. I'm just saying that she was conditioned for a long time to act a certain way. She was spoiled. She was a spoiled brat. All of her sisters, her dad, her mother. So, I mean, of course she does need to change. She's a grown woman. I'm not saying that this is right with the behavior that she's doing, but I do see in their interactions, I can tell that she's Daddy's little girl, and she can do no wrong in Daddy's eyes.
I think we kind of had that conversation earlier when we was talking about, you know, she's being the youngest, and you say you're the youngest too, where it's just like, oh, I want to be treated like a princess. And that's what they have treated Tamar for so long, like she was the little princess. But now is that it's time for her to actually to grow up and be an adult and actually address issues like an adult, because the way she addressed issues is just like, you're that little girl and your mom told you can't get that doll, and you just go storming out screaming in the store. Like, you see kids now, they're screaming in the store, like, why are you screaming?
Yeah, I totally understand. And you make a really valid point. Her behavior, her actions do need to change, but in order for her to change, I think that she really needs the encouragement of her family. I think that she felt attacked. And I don't know, do you think that she was attacked last episode when there was the Tamarvention, that she coined it?
I don't really think she was attacked. I think what it is that a lot of times people don't want to hear what's right, because in their mindset, they feel like they're right. And so with that being said, everybody's kind of bringing like, hey, Tamar, this is what happened, this is how I feel. And so and first of all, she went in defense mode. She already knew that everybody's going to gang up on her.
I think that the reason she went into defense mode is because you have about 4 or 5 people that has come to this meeting specifically to air out their emotions based on how they made her feel. So it's like everyone was kind of against Tamar from jump. So she came in there already with her guard up, knowing that she was going to be attacked.
But at the same time, like, it's like one of those situations where you have a job. You go into a boardroom of executive. you have to listen to everything that they have to say. Even if you're wrong in your position, you have to kind of like listen versus like, hell, let me just speak back and yell and scream over everybody. 'Cause
True.
like Papa said, it was just like you can't hear when you're yelling.
True.
And that's what Tamar, she's really known for, her yelling on the show and out being overbearing, out talking to everybody. So everybody just kind of like, Tamar doesn't want to have one of her moves. She's yelling, she's screaming. So it just kind of like cuts off to like, oh, let's have drinks and food.
Yeah, so she has listening problems. So in order to, what you're saying is that in order to resolve this problem, she actually has to just listen instead of talking. So, you know, one thing, I think that maybe there's this game that I used to, well, I still do. It's really great. And it's like if you're holding something, then you are the only person that is allowed to talk.
I did that when I was like 7.
But it's very effective. It's a method to learn how to listen better. So it's like if I have something to say, I am holding whatever object it is. Maybe they need to do that so it can just shut Tamar up for about 5 seconds.
I don't think it's really gonna happen. But even like even at Toni's house, when they get to Toni's house, you know, Tamar came in with her dad. Everybody sitting like waiting on Tamar and her dad to come in, and the conversation kind of starts off with, you know, Toni expressing herself. It's more like a Toni and Tamar conversation with the dad intervening in the conversation. Toni kind of expressed herself like, Tamar, this is how you made me feel about, you know, when we last spoke and everything. And, you know, and then Tamar constantly yells. But her father's like, you don't listen. Like, stop and just listen.
True.
So I think it's just like a repeated cycle where Tamar really don't understand what it means to listen because she wants to hear what she want to hear. Because even with Toni, gets emotional again, starts to cry because she feels like she's not getting the respect that she needs to receive from her younger sister, and her younger sister not appreciating her for who she is, and she's not listening. And I think that's the bigger issue, like everybody has to see, is she's not listening because she's not even listening to her father.
Well, I think that there are multiple issues here. I understand that she needs to listen, but the sisters also need to understand, including the parents, she feels attacked. So you have to address that too. You can't just say, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. If a person feels attacked, then they're not listening. They can't listen because they feel attacked. So instead of them saying, you're not listening, they're getting hype, they're raising their voice. So Tamar is just going to match them.
Toni, who talks like this?
I'm just saying, like, honestly, if someone feels attacked, they feel attacked. You have to really understand. You have to get in their mental state and say, okay, they feel attacked. How can I change the situation? And so they'll feel more comfortable to really express themselves. And I think that it's the one-on-ones. It's like you have all these people against you. I'm coming in here with my sword and my shield. Y'all, it's not about to just slay me. So I get where she's coming from. However, her actions do need to be changed.
But I think it kind of like resolved some of the issues between her and Toni. Just kind of like the conversation that they kind of had with everyone being there. But it was more or less like Toni and Tamar having a conversation because Toni just really, Toni always the first one to speak and everybody kind of like listens.
She's the fixer. She's
and
our
then,
Olivia
like,
Pope.
The father was just kind of there also listening, and all he wanted to do, all Toni wanted was an apology. But Tamar feel like she needs an apology for everything that has happened to her. But, you know, in most cases, like, it has to start somewhere.
Exactly. It's that give and take, give and take. If you want someone to apologize to you, I feel like Toni should have just been the bigger person and said, you know what, I do remember saying that I would never never apologize to you. However, today I'm going to apologize for everything that I've done in the past and for saying that. I think that Tamar would have been like, okay, Tamar may have apologized to Toni with a stank attitude, but I believe she would have apologized.
She never got the apology though.
There was never an official apology.
Never got
Tamar
the apology.
was like, she don't do that. She don't. I'm like, okay,
It's
girl.
just like
But,
third person.
exactly.
Like, she don't. Team Tamar.
Toni and Tamar did have some type of resolution. They went to tea time and they had tea.
At the cottage leave. It was kind of like weird actually seeing like Tamar being the person that she is, and Toni just kind of like in her whole like, oh, it's like tea time, like little girl princess, I'm having tea time at home, you know, as like a dollhouse tea time, because Toni was in character. Tamar was just like, I just can't do this, you know. And what was the scoop, the biscuit that she called?
She called him a biscuit, but it's a scone.
Yeah, a scone. So Toni's like, Tamar, don't call them like biscuit. There's not biscuit. Like, these like biscuits, like some gravy and some syrup. I'm like, can't take that away from her.
I think it's it's beautiful. It's that you get to see the dynamics between the two sisters.
Yeah.
They obviously have different personalities, and honestly, before this episode, I kind of thought Toni was boring. And in this episode, you got to see another side of her. You know, she got into character at tea time.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was really interesting to see. And Tamar is not going to stop being Tamar just because she's going to have some scones and tea. Let's just keep it real. She called them, these is not like my mama's biscuits.
Yeah, she's definitely still Tamar.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it was really great that Toni congratulated her for her single.
Yes.
That meant a lot to Tamar. You can see it. She got a little misty-eyed, very emotional. So, you know, big ups to Toni for being that big sister and saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. I haven't even congratulated you for, you know, this #1 hit, which is a big accomplishment because she has won her own solo career, Tamar, since she was 14. So I think that it was overdue.
And talking about hits, you can also download her hit on iTunes. Make sure you go out to our iTunes or AfterBuzz. So make sure you download the Braxton Family, our podcast. Make sure you rate us. Tell the things that you want to kind of see in our recaps of the Braxton Family Values.
And make sure that, of course, rate, comment, and share. 5 stars. I still noticed that we only got 4. What's going on with that?
Not 4.5.
No, it's just
come on, people. We need y'all out there. We need the Braxton Family Value 4 stars, 5 stars up there.
Exactly.
I mean, but it's actually kind of great to see she finally got it. After 14 years, she finally basically #1 hit because she's been a solo artist since 1999. So she finally got it. So that's great.
And you know what? I want to go back to, you know, how Toni and Tamar kind of squashed their beef, and they're like, okay, we're sisters at the end of the day, let's just move on. And then going back to when they had the intervention with the whole entire family, all of the girls were there except for Traci because her man was in the hospital. We'll get on that. And the dad just walked away because he was like, you guys don't know what forgiveness is anymore. And that really struck a chord to me because it's like, wow, it was very powerful because you see this strong man who's obviously intelligent. He's like, what is wrong with y'all? I'm so sick of this. Y'all don't know what forgiveness is. What is forgiveness truly?
But you know what, man? A lot of things I learned in life is that a lot of times you will never forget a situation, but it's like you're not able to move on past the situation until you be able to forgive.
And that's the problem. It's like they're not forgetting what happened in the past. They're not forgetting what Tamar said and what she has been doing. So you cannot forgive her, and you can't move on from the situation until you have to forget what she did and move on and hope that she becomes better and kind of assist her and help her, encourage her. This is the baby sis. Obviously, y'all been trying to like freaking mold this girl since she was little. Like, I just think that she wants her sisters around, and you know, she has a very crazy, outgoing personality that we all love. And I just think that with a little encouragement, she'll tone it down for her family. So
I think it's support group.
Support. Well, this family's so big, they can be each other's support group. It's like 1,800 of them.
But you know what? The surprising thing, even with the conversation with the dad at Toni's house, Tawana said nothing. Trina said nothing. They were so vocal before, especially in the last episode at the Tamar invention. It's like now it's like they have nothing to say while their father's there. Isn't that don't seem kind of odd?
Well, I think that Trina may not have wanted to say anything because the last time that they were all together conversating about this, she kind of went left and was talking all reckless to her mama. Yeah. So I think that because Daddy was present, she just wanted to bite her tongue and not kind of go to that left field. That's just my personal thing. Yeah. And then with Tawanda,
she just sat there and being cute.
Okay.
And
that's what you call it.
And that's what you call it. No, but they was like real quiet this episode because you really didn't see too much of them saying anything about the Tamar issues that they had. I mean, even with the interaction with their dad, it's still kind of like standoffish and stuff like that. And you know, the number one surprising thing is that Toni and them said was that I didn't know y'all still talk. It's like Evelyn and her father, you know, because of the divorce that they had prior and everything. But people don't realize, even as parents, you will still talk no matter what the situation may be. You will still talk as parents because you have children. And maybe like with most parents, like kids favor either to the mother or father, you know. And with that being said, is that I'm able to talk to my mother more than I'm able to talk to my father. It's kind of weird, but still.
Well, I think that it was really great that the sisters got to see their parents communicating after all that they had been through, and it kind of like let them know that, you know, we're all family. At the end of the day, we only have each other, and so we have to be there for each other, and whatever problems that we have, we need to work through them in order to, you know, progress in life in general. And they all, you can tell they love each other.
Yeah.
They just have some issues that they are working through.
I think that's kind of the point where he kind of walked up, when he kind of got up, when he was like, y'all need to learn how to forgive. 'Cause I guess the mother actually forgave him for, you know, the wrongful thing that he did to her and the family back 13 years ago.
True. But, you know, we still didn't get there was no apology within that.
No.
I don't really think that Trina and Tamar, I think there's still going to be conflict there.
Oh, yeah.
With Tawanda and Tamar, still conflict. I think that, you know, the only people that really got something from it was Toni and Tamar.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of episodes if they actually, in fact, do sit down and talk. But speaking of the sisters sitting down and talking, we have Tay Tay and Traci.
No, let's go back to Traci and her father.
Oh,
when he flies back
yes.
home, like, Miss Traci, like, they first started, I was like, oh, Dad, how are you? She's like, oh, lovey-dovey. And, you know, it's like, the dad, she went ham on him. She went ham on him.
I'm
but, like,
mm.
he's sitting trying to tell, like, what happened in L.A., and, you know, Traci just goes off like, oh, I guess Tamar have you in her pocket, too. And, like, and he looks like, oh,
this
exactly.
is not the Traci that he was used to seeing.
Yeah.
And honestly, this isn't the Traci that I was used to seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw her get buck at Tamar last episode, but I would never think that she would get buck with her own daddy.
Like, seriously.
I'm like, what is up with Trina and Traci? But she did say, you know, I was very emotional. I was really tired. Her husband was in the hospital. And so, you know, she had a lot going on, a lot of stress factors. But still, that's not the proper way to speak to your father. And then she skirted off on him. He was like, wait.
I know, right?
It was so sad.
The bad thing, Kevin looked at him like, yeah, we got to go.
Exactly. So, I mean, but she did apologize.
Yeah.
They reconvened and, you know, over dinner, and she apologized. She explained why she did what she did, but, you know, he was hurt, and he expressed that to her, and she was like, that broke my heart. Girl, it should have. You don't talk to your daddy like that.
I guess it's just as bad as Trina kind of talking to her mother like that in the last episode. It's like, what is wrong with these kids?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, Mom, Dad?
I
Dad, he's just there to help. And he's such like a soft-spoken guy. He's just like,
So
you know,
sweet.
and I guess that's come from him being a preacher for so long. He's just kind of like, yeah, you know, I just want to see the best thing for my girls. But they're just so, like, adamant, being angry at each other that he don't know what to do, really.
Exactly. So now, since we're on the topic of Traci, let's talk about how her husband was in the hospital. He had an anxiety attack because of a football game.
Redskins lost. Redskins lost.
So he went into anxiety mode, and he was like
that's kind of like, I mean, first of all, she got back. He already checked out the hospital. So it wasn't that big of an emergency if he already checked out the hospital. But to find out that he had an anxiety attack over a Redskins game, like, I'll be angry.
It was bogus. It really was. And then he was like, well, the doctor told me that I need to, you know, exercise and all that. And he was like, you know what I mean by, and he was, Traci like,
But
no.
I think it's probably like, in my thought also, it's probably another reason for Traci to get out of L.A. Just be like, oh, well, my husband in the hospital, so I don't have to deal with the Tamar drama or the Braxton family drama. So just kind of like,
escape.
let me get out of here, go home, and then come back and revisit the situation. Because a lot of time when you kind of like, you have a confrontation with someone, if you like, hey, let me remove myself and then come back and revisit the situation, it might be a actual better outcome. But with this, it's not even a better outcome.
Yeah.
Because Tamar and Traci meet with the father in L.A. Again, and then it's like a conversation where it's like almost like crickets, but at the same time it's like anger and aggression with each other because nobody can confront each other about any issues.
There was no conversation at all. It was just bickering back and forth. It was like words hitting a wall. Whatever Tamar was saying was just bouncing right back off of this guard that Traci had built up, and vice versa. No one was hearing anyone. All it was yelling, which, you know, why would you do that? I thought that because the father was there, because dad was there, that there was going to be a calm in the midst of the storm.
Yeah.
And that he should have just started quoting Bible scriptures or something. He should have brought the Lord into
Should have
this.
brought some oil in there, like,
Yes,
please.
just bring some Crisco, whatever you got, some olive oil, baby oil, anything, because daddy should have brought it.
But you know the craziest thing, though? A lot of times when they have these arguments in public places, it's just like, how do you have disagreement, arguments, loud talking in public places? I would be embarrassed.
Yeah, but you look at these personalities that we have. We have an extreme and an extreme that are arguing. So
Yeah.
they don't care where they are. I bet they would have had that argument in church.
As a father, I'm pretty sure he was embarrassed.
Yeah, I think he was. And you can tell he was very, like, coy and, like, kind of, like, shy and not really saying anything because he was probably like, what is really going on? These are not my girls.
Yeah.
But in previous episodes, it was mentioned that Tamar and Traci always had problems with each other. So their relationship wasn't always, like, as, like, pleasant. So...
I mean, but the thing is that, like you said, they talked around each other. And, like, as the father sits there and just kind of coming from the conversation with Toni and everyone all at Toni's house, then having a conversation with Traci, and then having a conversation with Tamar and Traci, and it's just like, it's a 2-minute conversation because everybody's saying, oh, I don't have an issue, everything's okay. As a father, I was like, no, y'all have to talk. The same type of energy that he had and determination that he had at Toni's house, he should have had the same type of determination when Tamar and Traci was talking. He just kind of sat back like, okay, I'm going to let y'all say everything you have to say, but nobody said anything to resolve any issue. It was just like yelling and bickering, and Traci feels like she's going to continue to feel like Tamar is a backstabber, that Tamar has issue, and Tamar's still going to continue to feel that Traci's feel like she's jealous of herself.
Well, I think that the father felt a little defeated because Traci, when they had that initial confrontation when Traci just walked off on her father, she was like, oh, I see that you have Tamar in your back pocket too. So I think that the dad wanted to kind of remain neutral and not say anything because he didn't want to make it seem like he was leaning towards Tamar's perception of things. And I really love what Dr. Sherry said in the beginning of this episode when she said, you know, perception is everything.
Yeah.
It's like everyone views situations from different lenses. And I think that's exactly what their problem is. Everyone is hurt, and when your emotions are involved in a situation and you feel hurt and you feel attacked, then you have a hard problem listening and hearing what the other person is saying. So, you know, I think that the father being in this episode and coming and talking to his girls was beneficial. He needs to come around more often because I really saw everything calmed down when Daddy came around.
Yeah,
he brought the Lord with him.
I mean, even though he didn't say too much about the Lord, but at the same time, I just think that when a bunch of girls come together, just because all the emotion, even with Mama E, it's kind of like we can just yell because. I hate to say it, a lot of women, that's what they do. When they get angry, they yell. It's like no one's listening to that. Because most guys don't listen to women when they yell. You talk to me when you yell, it's like you're talking to silence.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not going to listen. But, I mean, overall, it's just that Traci and Tamar still have the conflict. Will it ever be resolved? I'm still trying to figure out, like, what is the conflict overall?
I think it's deeply rooted in their childhood. Like, things that just... I think Traci is just tired of the way she is being treated by Tamar. Tamar doesn't understand, how am I treating you? Like, why are you so mad at me? And I think it goes back deeper than what this, you know, what we're hearing and what we're seeing on TV. I think that there's more to it. And we never know. We only got a snippet of that conversation, so we don't know exactly what was said before or what was said after. So going into that, we can that was pretty much it for the episode.
Yeah, for the episode itself.
Yeah. Traci and Tamar, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Tamar and Toni, they kind of have resolved it. They went to tea time, so they're kind of back to that sister bond that, you know, the mom and the father really wanted to see. Yeah. And with Tawanda and Trina, they had a family hug, but... It
wasn't like a real hug, though. Yeah. It was just that, oh, yeah, we're just here because Daddy's here. But at the same time, I want to kind of see Tawanda and Trina really kind of express themselves, and maybe they might express it in the future episodes. But I think the issue between Toni and Tamar, I think it's gonna cause a dividance between the rest of them, because now it's gonna basically be Toni and Tamar. We're friends and we're cool right now. But then also you gonna have like Toni, why you taking Tamar's side? Or do Tamar have you in her back pocket too? Like I think it's gonna be like a lot of drama between that now.
That sounds like predictions. Maybe we should go into predictions.
And now your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, you just gave a very interesting point of view. You think that there's going to be a divide between the sisters, and it's going to be Toni and Tamar against pretty much everyone else. So that's what you predict. I
think that's what their perception is going to be. I think Traci definitely is going to feel that way because now, Toni kind of taking that seat back and not really kind of like being on either person's side, but at the same time, she's going to be that person see right and see wrong as she was like originally. Yeah. But then she kind of got engulfed up between the sister drama.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that Toni, even though she wants to remain neutral, I think that she's still going to be that fixer for her family. I think that no matter what, even though she does have these health issues and she's trying to, to kind of get out of all of the drama, you kind of can't get out of the drama when you're dealing with family and these are your sisters that you interact with daily. So I think she's still going to be our Olivia Pope. And that's pretty much my prediction. I think that there's still going to be a level of fakeness between the sisters. I think they're all going to be like cordial around the parents and stuff like that, but for the most part they're just going to be fake. So you have some news and gossip. Tell us about it.
Yes, Toni Braxton's still performing.
She is.
Yes, she performed in Chicago last night at the 50th anniversary of www.WVON, which basically is a drum major for the African American Society in Chicago. So she's still out there performing.
And that kind of goes hand in hand with my news and gossip. I recently was watching an interview with Toni Braxton, and she actually said that her heart isn't into music anymore.
What?
So she's saying that, you probably won't hear any singles or albums from me. Yeah. However, I will be performing, just like you mentioned, she just recently performed. She's still going to be doing things like that, but I am devastated, and I know Jason is going to be
so upset. No more Toni.
No more Toni. I wanted Tamar and Toni to do a single,
but
or
you know what?
Something.
I think they probably still will. It probably won't be her. She probably be featured on one of Tamar tracks, so they can be like, "Oh, the two sisters, we have #1 singles again."
I would love that. I know Jason would love that too.
Yes. Also talking about Tamar. Tamar is performing tonight on BET Celebration of Gospel, so make sure y'all tune in for that.
And what time? Tell everyone what time.
8 p.m.
Yes, 8 p.m.
Pacific
Standard Time. So we watching it at 8 p.m. in LA. We don't know about the East Coaster, so y'all check that out. Definitely Celebration of Gospel. I am Ashley Gray. It was such a pleasure joining my friend
I am
here,
Larice Shamar.
And you can also tweet me at @TweetNinaMarieG. You can follow me on Instagram as well at Nina Marie Gray, and add me as a friend on Facebook. I would love to continue our conversation about Braxton Family Values, and make sure that you give us 5 stars. I'm a check. And next week, if we ain't got 5, we're going to have some problems.
And I'm Larice Shamar. You can find me at Larice Shamar on Twitter and Instagram, but also go to www.truepeoplesmedia.com to follow all my updates. Thank you.
See you guys next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.